Hey, and welcome to my video about strings. I'm going to assume that you can already make your own playground. If you can't, go back and watch the previous videos. After you've made your own playground, go ahead and remove this line on line 3. So we just have this import UI kit here. Okay, to start, I'm going to go ahead and make 3 empty variables. I'm going to call one of them the first one, first name. Going to make it equal to an empty string. Going to make a second one called last name. Going to make that equal to an empty string. And then I'm going to make another one called full name and make that equal to an empty string. Okay? Now next, I want you to use your imagination a bit. I'm going to pretend like we're getting input from the user somehow. So let's say, an app is asking them, hey, what's your first name? What's your last name? Okay? But you're going to hard code it here. So you're just going to do first name is equal to, and then go ahead and put your first name here. Mine's Bradley, so I will put Bradley. As a reminder, we are assigning the value Bradley to the variable we already created, first name. That's why we don't have to have the variable in front of that. Go ahead and do the same thing for last name. So last name is equal to, and put your last name. Mine's Gilmore, so I will put Gilmore. And then I want to talk about combining variables. So we want full name to be both our first and last name. So how would we do that? You might think it's something like this. So full name is equal to first name plus last name. And you'd be right. That is how you do it. So now on line 10, we are combining the value of first name and then adding last name to the full name variable. Okay? Now let's go ahead and print that out. You do this by typing print and then typing a variable name inside of this. So this line 12 will print the full name. I want you to think about this for a minute, though. I want you to guess what's going to print out exactly. Take a minute and think about it. And then when you're ready, go ahead and run your program. To run your program, you hit this little play button right here, or this square, which will also sometimes be a play button. So either of those is fine. Go ahead and run it. And as you can see down here in the console, it says Bradley Gilmore. Now you might be expecting this to look different, a little different, or maybe not, maybe you caught it. But you can see there's no space in here. This is just Bradley and Gilmore together. So how would we fix this? Can you go ahead and think of a couple ways that you might try to fix this? Go ahead and take a minute. How could we fix that? Okay, welcome back. So I'm going to go ahead and go over a couple ways we might be able to fix this. The first way we could do is add a space at the end of this first name. Okay, so instead of having this just be this, we could add a space at the end of this. And then if we ran it, it would show up as Bradley Gilmore with a space. Now that's not ideal. You wouldn't want to have space every time after a word. That'd be kind of annoying. You wouldn't know if that was the last word in a sentence or something like that. So let's take that away. But if you thought of that, that is a solution that does work. Another solution could be we could add another thing between here. So we could add a space. So we could do that and then add that together. That way it's adding first name. And then after first name, it's adding this space. And then after that, it's adding the last name. If we run that, we can see that that also works. Bradley Gilmore. And that's a little better. That makes more sense. So I want to introduce you to the solution to this problem, which is called String Interpolation. String Interpolation is really powerful. It lets you do a lot of this stuff much quicker and in a cleaner fashion. So let's take a look at that. So let's go ahead and write a new line for this. So we'll do full name is equal to, and then we'll do a string. And then for string interpolation, you're going to do a backslash and then 2 parentheses. And then inside of these parentheses, you are going to put the variable you want to display there. So in this case, we want it to be first name. So you do first name. And then we can have a space here or whatever we want. And then do that again. So backslash, parentheses, last name. Okay. Now you can see, I'm just going to put something else after this. You can see as normal strings, they appear red or orange on my screen. And these are white on my screen because this is like a keyword almost. So when you use a backslash and parentheses, it knows that whatever's inside of these parentheses is a variable or something else like that, that you can put right into a string. So you can kind of see if you mess it up. If you do this, for example, this is just a string. This will just show up as that, exactly, a parentheses last name. So you need to make sure you do the keyword right, so that with the parentheses. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this out. And then we'll go ahead and print full name one more time. And I'm going to go ahead, you don't have to do this, but I'm just going to remove this so it shows up a little cleaner. Okay. And as you can see, this is the same result. Now you might be thinking this seems a little more complicated, but this is the ideal way. When you have long paragraphs or something like that, it's so much easier to use this kind of thing. That way you can see it more clearly, and it's just so much more readable. To put this in perspective, if you had to add each thing, let me go back real quick. If you had to add each thing like this, if you had 8 or 10 things to combine, this would be an absolute nightmare. You'd have to have tons of these. And the same thing with this, if you did it the way we did that before, which I don't have anymore on here, you'd have to, every single word, you'd have to add a space at the end, which, it's not the end of the world, but there's better ways. And that's my brief look at strings. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.